Hey everyone, this is Rachel and I'm here for another episode of Lift and Sketch with Christy and Rachel. Today Christy and I are taking on that layout you saw at the beginning of the video. That is one I found on Pinterest. When I followed it, it just led to a photograph of the layout, so I do not know who made it. I will look to see if I can find out, and if I do, I will put it on the screen. If not, and this happens to be your layout, thank you for sharing it. It is lovely. So I am once again digging into my stash. I've been doing that since the beginning of the year. I have made a couple of purchases of some curated kits. So those will be arriving, it is February 3rd. I can't imagine those arriving before the beginning of March. So obviously in February I will still be working with my stash and I'm super okay with that. Today I have dug deep into my Maggie Holmes and crepe paper, and then I've got a couple of things, newer things from Freckled Fawn. I mean, I've had them for a couple of months, but they're not as old as the crepe paper and Maggie Holmes stuff. Alright, I've also pulled some wood veneer and a flare that was made to go, so I'm scrapbooking a photo, a group photo from a crop I went to a couple of years ago, and this flare was made for this crop. So I wanted to make sure to bring this out and use it for this particular one. All right, so I will just say I will provide a link to Christy's channel, so make sure you go on over and check out her take on this lift once you finish watching my video, of course. And if you've come over from Christy's channel, welcome, please enjoy. I hope you like the layout I make. All right, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and get you on fast forward, so let's get going. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I think I'm going to start my layers with this white and teal or cream and teal polka dot, but I decide it's not what I'm looking for exactly, so I'm going to use that other scrap of paper from the Close Knit collection, which is this dark wood grain, and I decide I like that much better. I'm also going to do something you don't see me do very often, and that is I'm going to tear my layers of paper. I just felt it really worked well with both this photograph and the line I'm using. Now, I was really thinking on why I was having such a hard time scrapbooking this particular photo. And I think, because I've scrapbooked with red before, it's not like I've never used red, I have. The feeling behind this photo, these are ladies that I originally met online, and then I flew to Dallas or outside of Dallas to meet. The home we were staying in is very country, and the area we were in was incredibly rural. And here comes Xanthi being obnoxious. So the essence of the feeling I wanted to portray for this layout was not this bright, vibrant, red color, because that's, for me, red is like bright and fun, and just it wasn't what I was looking to portray, because even though these ladies are bright and vibrant and fun, where we were and the type of setting we were in and what it made me feel, that did not work. I end up really loving the way this layout turns out, even though this was in May 2015. I don't necessarily, and I've scrapbooked other layouts about this crop, but this particular photo where we're all in this very red, white, and blue colors, it just really threw me. So, okay, now that I've pondered my process, I want to talk about the actual layout. So, I knew I wanted to pick something neutral for the background and then use the pops of blue and red to pull from the photo. So, I had been deciding between this weathered wood and then that other piece, which was like a notebook grid paper with the cork border. I decided on the weathered wood. It just made more sense to me because in the layout we're lifting, she had papers at the top and bottom, and so to have that cork border, I would have either had to not do that at all, and I actually liked that, or I would have had to use that as the border, but having a full border around the whole thing is different from having it at the top and bottom. So I tore the papers for the top and the bottom, and then you'll see I got a little annoyed with all the stuff on my desk, so I just needed to clean up, so I cut away from that. But I was basically just clearing out all the paper I knew I wasn't going to use. So now that I've got a cleaner slate, I am going to go ahead and just start adding layers. Now, I'm poking through these acetate doilies, thinking of adding them as a layer, but none of the colors are right. They're either too pink or too orange. So I'm like, yeah, no. All right. So now I have that, and I'm just kind of poking things in, seeing what will work for layers. I love this large camera. I decide that I do need to trim the bottom of that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave it longer or trim it up, but I definitely wanted to trim it up. Now I'm going to fussy cut out a couple of these cameras, and I will cut away from that because I have to fussy cut close to myself, so I can't do it in camera. And we come back and Xanthi has magically appeared. I did record while I was doing that, and you can see what she got up to if you hang out all the way past the photos at the end of the video. She does, you know, her little obnoxious bit to annoy me. All right, I'm finally getting some stuff glued down. Now, this I'm going to glue the upper and the lower strips of paper. I am going to glue the red ones slightly off the paper, and then I will trim that up at the end of the layout. I wanted, because I'm going to do an embellishment cluster at the top, I wanted a more organic ending for it. So that's why I do it like that way. So I love this toilet paper. I just don't love that it's a rectangle. So I go and fussy cut out the 3 different doily portions, and I'm going to use those in each of my embellishment areas. So I'm just using my ATG and kind of layering things behind. I decided this ticket as well also needs to be fussy cut out. Of course, it's pretty much all rectangular, so it's not that hard. I just used my trimmer to get the 4 edges, and then I'm just going to fussy cut the little corner pieces. Now, my particular center portion is definitely wider than the original layout, but I think you can definitely see the original layout in my layout. So it's definitely more of taking ideas from her particular layout rather than a true scrap lift where it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. So I'm just still getting all of my layers in, and now I think my center photo block area is good. And often when I'm doing this, where I've been tucking little bits of layers and stuff in, I use a lot of ATG. I mean, I use a lot of ATG anyway, but especially when I'm doing a bunch of layers, I do, because I definitely feel otherwise stuff's going to jimmy its way out. And that could just be me and my crazy, but hey, I'm going to live my crazy. All right, I'm getting this bottom embellishment cluster that will also hold my journaling. And from these washi stickers, I pull out this gold foil ampersand. And that's actually going to be the only thing I use from there. I'm then going to pull out the flare that went with this photo, and I'm going to put that right in the center of that camera, which is something I almost always do. Now, this pennant that has gold dots fell out when I was pulling things out, but I actually love the way it looks down there. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my cluster. And then I'm going to add this bow tie more for the black and white color than actually for it to be a bow tie. I've got the black and white in that glitter rose. It's actually printed on music paper. And then I've got that black and white stripe at the bottom of the journaling. So I wanted to have a little bit of the black and white in the upper cluster as well. So I added my wood veneer. I'm adding my wood veneer birds. And now I'm also adding the puffy stickers from the Shine collection. And I'm just going to do 3 hearts. I'm thinking about what where I want it to go, if I want it to go here, and I decide pretty quickly, no, I want it to go in the upper corner. I want to add a little bit more blue up there. So now I'm going to do my journaling before I glue down my third bird, because I'm concerned that when I try to write, I'll end up uh, not being able to because of the bird. So I'm just writing about how, this is the first crop I went to with this particular group of ladies, and how we traveled from all over, to share our love of scrapbooking and to just gather together and be girl crafters. So it was a super fun weekend. Now, I'm almost finished here. I am going to finish off with some misting, but I'm just going to clean up a little bit first, because and as I'm cleaning up, I find these two die cut leaves and I decide to layer them up together. It's just another bit of black and white, and I add that below that camera. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and trim off my pages before I add some mist. This will be the last thing I do. And at the bottom here, I bobble my paper, so I have to take my scissors and hand trim off the bottom, because the caterpillar crop is great and it can cut some very tiny pieces of paper, but once I found, for me personally, once I've cut something not straight, it's hard to go back and then do it straight with very tiny pieces of paper. Okay, so I am misting in 3 different colors today. I'm starting off with Scarlet's Fever, which is a colorings. These are all from Shimmers. So this is one that doesn't have a lot of shimmer to it. I'm then moving on to the color Frostbite, and then I'm going to finish off with some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. And this one you have to shake up a lot because it separates a little bit. All right, folks, that is going to finish off my layout for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure to head on over to Christy's channel and take a gander at her layout. And thank you so much. If you could flick me a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Don't forget, stay tuned to the end if you want to see Xanthi's antics.